Into this afternoon's top stories. Parliamentarians meet for another sitting of National Assembly. Tobago police working overtime to address robberies on the island, and Nigerian officials arrest engineers after church collapse. Good afternoon. Welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Tuesday, the 13th of December 2016. I am Shaira Flanders. Nationally, parliamentarians met on Tuesday for another sitting of National Assembly, primarily for the second reading of several bills. According to the order paper, Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris was scheduled to move the second reading of Common Reporting Standard Bill and Money Services Business Amendment Bill, which had their first reading on November 18, 2016. He also was scheduled to move the second reading of amendments to the Trust Bill Companies Bill, National Savings Scheme Bill, and the Savings Bank Bill. Those bills had their first readings on August 23, 2016. National Assembly was carried live on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM and television Channel 5. It was also streamed live at www.zizonline.com. The police are investigating a shooting incident in the Willets housing project in St. Paul's that left one person injured. According to a police press release, the shooting occurred at around 9 p.m. on Monday. The police say the victim is Gavin Brown, a resident of the area. He was shot in the leg by an unknown assailant. He is now undergoing treatment. Investigators from the Violent Crimes Unit and the Criminal Investigations Department and the technicians from the Forensic Services Unit have canvassed the scene for evidence. The investigation continues. National Hero of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Right Excellent and Right Honorable Dr. Sir Kennedy Alphonse Simmons and his wife, Mary, have paid tribute to the late James Ronald Webster, who served as Anguilla's Chief Minister from the 10th of February 1976 to the 1st of February 1977 and again from 1980 to 1984. In his tribute, Sir Kennedy said he was deeply saddened to hear of the passing of the Honorable Ronald Webster, noting that, quote, his passing marks the end of an era in the history of Anguilla and indeed of St. Kitts Nevis and Anguilla. He was a great Anguillian patriot and hero. He provided strong, unbending, undetermined and courageous leadership in piloting Anguilla through a turbulent period in its history. This was a period characterized by neglect, hardship, revolution and foundation building, Sir Kennedy outlined. Considered the father of the nation, Webster died on December 9th, the eve of the 50th anniversary of the Anguilla Revolution. He was 90 years old. Residents of the Cardin home received Christmas gifts early this year when the Inception Fed Committee made a donation of food supplies and a check in the amount of $1,000. The handing over took place at the Cardin home on Sunday. Inception Committee member Marsha Henderson said this was their way to give back to the community in this special season for giving.
We are here to give our donation to the members of the Cardin home. In the past, we've adopted a charitable organization called Operation Future, but this year we decided that we're going to give back to the members of the Cardin home. On behalf of Team Inception, we want to wish all the members here a Merry Christmas and a Happy Carnival and a Happy New Year.
This annual community donation takes place 2 weeks before the Inception Fete, which is scheduled for December 31st. And on to the regional scene in Tobago. Senior Superintendent Joanne Arkey says Tobago police have redoubled their efforts and are working overtime to address robberies on the island. We hear more in this CNews report.
Senior Superintendent Archie said the police has taken note of the increase in crime on the island and have redoubled their efforts to deal with it.
We have increased our patrols in all areas. We have also implemented the fact that police officers would not be coming into the station for when their shifts are changing. Shifts are changed on the spot outside.
She said robberies tend to increase during the Christmas period, and as such, the police are warning business owners to be more vigilant.
We continue to advise business owners as we interact with business owners. The police officers would be out there to not just patrolling on mobile, but going in and interview the business owners.
Senior Sup Joan Archie said a 33-year-old man from Bethel, Tobago, was arrested for recent robberies in the Old Grange district. A Trinidad man was arrested and charged for stealing cigarettes off a distribution truck, and several other persons of interest are assisting the police with investigations as it relates to robberies in Tobago.
And as we approach the Yuletide season, we are asking persons to exercise caution, call in and report, be on the alert at opening and closing hours, where we ask our officers who are out there to be vigilant as it relates to suspicious persons, suspicious vehicles, when conducting business.
Questioned on whether or not the Tobago Division had enough manpower to deal with incidents of crime on the island, Senior Sup Archie said they're doing their best with the manpower they have. Meanwhile, out of the 4 murders recorded in Tobago for the year so far, Senior Sup Archie said 2 have been solved by police. I'm Patricia Nicholson for C News.
In St. Lucia, before Monday's weekly cabinet meeting, Senator Herman Gill Francis told the media that he assisted in the capture of a perpetrator of an alleged shooting over the weekend. He then encouraged the public to cooperate with the security forces. Here's more.
A timeless adage among the law enforcement fraternity is, once a cop, always a cop. And for Senator Herman Gill Francis, a former deputy police commissioner, this rang true over the weekend. Francis, like his predecessors, called on the public to do their part in the crime-fighting process by conveying to authorities any information they may have pertaining to criminal investigations. However, a pet peeve for law enforcers is the silence of members of the public who often cite the fear of retribution by alleged perpetrators for their lack of cooperation. The National Security Minister is trying to ease these concerns, disclosing that he played his part as a citizen in the crime fight over the weekend.
As the Minister of Home Affairs and Justice, I patrol the streets, I get all the information on the streets. I hear things, and I pass the information to the police. There's a shooting just, I think, on Saturday night. And I was able to get the photograph of the person who did the shooting, pass it on to the police, and the police arrested him Sunday morning. But so that means if we all go out there and we get the information, we pass it to the police, we will be successful. This toy, I call it a toy, because we play with it as a toy. The criminals use it, and we, as ordinary citizens, can use it. We have the community watch. The community watch can then use the cell phones. Okay, that if they see something, they take a photograph of that individual and spread it.
The National Security Minister also called on police officers to be more committed to their primary profession. He says there appears to be a lackadaisical attitude towards crime fighting among senior officers, which in turn influences the rank and file.
On Saturday, there was this function at Sanders Grant to honor 3 outstanding police officers, Ms. Griselda Bradford, Mr. Gerald Civil, and Mr. Winston Baste. When you listen to those persons when they receive the accolades, you could sense that those persons were committed. They had the job at heart. They wanted to do and make a difference. We are now having police officers who are just joining the police force to get a salary. You're not seeing the commitment. Right now we have more police officers, very senior police officers, doing more special duty than anything else. And I've spoken to the commissioner about that these senior officers, especially senior officers, must make a decision as to whether they want to do special duty or they want to perform the duties of a police officer. You don't see the police officers in the street, and it cannot be right.
Senator Francis noted the widely known statistic that most perpetrators of gun and gang violence in recent times are young males. However, he notes that state institutions must work in unison to bring them to justice.
The justice system must work in unison. Every part of the justice system must play an important role. And it is pointless that the police go out there, put their lives at risk, arrest individuals with firearms, and then the matter goes to court. And within a short space of time, persons who are known to have committed crimes, when the prosecutor would give all those information to the magistrate to deny bail, and yet still the magistrate would then grant bail to these individuals for as least a sum of $3,000. And these guys are known criminals, and they're now back into society. This cannot work. We have to work it as a collective So the courts must send a message, the police must send a message, we as the citizenry of this country must send a message.
Incidentally, Francis's younger brother and Mayor of Castries, Peterson Francis, last week revealed plans to boost the personnel capacity of the city constabulary to tackle crime within the city. Miguel Favre, HTS News Force.
Internationally, Nigerian officials have reportedly ordered the arrest of contractors and engineers involved in the construction of a church which collapsed on Saturday, killing scores of people, injuring dozens. Al Jazeera's Victoria Gattenby has the details on that story.
Almost every bed at this hospital is taken. Many of the injured are being treated here after the roof of their church collapsed during a service. Grace, a mother of 4, suffered life-changing injuries.
I saw the iron on my back and I tried to dodge. That's where I hit my right hand and the iron fell on my leg. Before I could get up again to help myself, I didn't find my leg. I looked around and one of my leg was cut off.
Hundreds of worshippers were inside the Rainers Bible Church in Uo when the roof caved in. The church was still being built and workers had been rushing to finish it in time for a ceremony to ordain its founder as a bishop. Moses had only been in the church a few minutes when he heard the terrifying sound of the roof coming down.
One of the iron came directly to my leg. So with the help of the law enforcement, they come around. When I was shutting off head, so people that lift the iron and drum my leg out. Okay. So after that, they took me to the hospital. I don't know, it was later.
More than 500 people attended a vigil on Monday to remember the victims. The state governor, who was in the church when the roof caved in, has ordered an investigation into whether building standards were compromised. Victoria Gattenby, Al Jazeera.
As security forces fight to retake the Iraqi city of Mosul from ISIL, civilians are slowly returning to their former homes in towns and villages recaptured by Iraqi forces. More in this report.
It's their first meal at home in more than 2 years, and there's an air of celebration in the courtyard. But Ali Ismail still can't make sense of what happened here.
It was a shock. I wasn't expecting childhood friends to join ISIL. People I grew up with, I used to play with them, and then we discovered they joined ISIL and they're living in Mosul.
Guer is a mixed Arab-Kurdish town where life seems to have come to a standstill. ISIL was quickly pushed out to the western edge, but the town remained a military zone until a few weeks ago. But in other areas, the destruction is overwhelming, and there are allegations that this happened after the fighting, such as in the village of Kotan, west of Kirkuk. We reached Abdullah Omar by phone. He says his house and others seen in this video were bulldozed by Kurdish security forces with help from some Turkmen villagers.
ISIL walked around and ordered people to leave their homes so they can shoot at the Peshmerga. No one cooperated with them. They want to chase the Arabs from this area.
The allegations are denied by the Peshmerga commander here. He says many of the houses were booby-trapped. He shows us security camera footage of ISIL fighters in the village. ISIL carried out a huge attack on nearby Kirkuk on the same day. The commander says villagers denied ISIL fighters were there when his forces arrived.
They harmed us. The village embraced ISIL. There are many other Arab villages in the area where people are living in security. It's my role to punish anyone who helped ISIL.
Punishing ISIL members and their families is something many would like to see. Fadel is a Sunni Arab. He grew up among Kurdish neighbors and says that there were many mixed marriages in his town. As a policeman, he was an ISIL target.
These criminals and their families lived for 2.5 years comfortably in Mosul. I couldn't even bury my father here because of them. People were killed. They cannot come back. What if they become my neighbor? I wouldn't accept it. The tribes won't either.
Life is slowly returning to recaptured towns and villages, but now there is deep suspicion and resentment among people who were once neighbors. It's the legacy left behind by ISIL. Many say it will take a generation, if not 2, to forget. and maybe forgive. But Abdul Hamid, Al Jazeera in northern Iraq.
And now for today's weather. Present weather is partly cloudy. Temperatures today will peak at 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Seas are rough with the swells reaching up to 9 feet. Warnings remain in effect for small craft operators and sea bathers against hazardous sea conditions. Weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis predicts skies today will be sunny with a good chance of some brief passing showers. Tonight will be fair to partly cloudy with a moderate chance of more brief passing overnight showers. Sunset today will be at 5:39 p.m. and the sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:32 a.m. That brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Shaira Flanders. Have a good one.